in 5 days. And any actions taken tonight on final development plans or minor amendments are final. Any recommendations made on preliminary subdivision plan requests tonight will be referred to the City Council for final action at the third council meeting of this month. Any recommendations made on rezone requests, major amendments, future land use amendments, or ordinance amendments tonight will be referred to the City Council for final action at the first council meeting of next month. Council meetings are held at 7 p.m. here in Carnegie Town Hall and are televised. The Planning Commission will first approve the consent agenda and then the regular agenda. In order to place certain non-controversial items on the Commission's consent agenda, Planning staff and Planning Commission apply the following criteria. First, the request conforms with Sioux Falls 2035 Comprehensive Plan. Second, Planning staff recommends approval of the request. Third, there are no audience members present or written comments received in opposition to the request. And fourth, the application meets all conditions and requirements of the Sioux Falls zoning ordinance. Once the consent agenda has been approved, those agenda items have been approved and members of the public are free to leave. For the regular agenda, the following normal public hearing procedure will be followed for each item. By first requesting planning staff to present a brief report on that item. Second, the petitioner or representative will be requested to come forward and make a statement or answer questions. After the petitioner has spoken, anyone from the audience who wishes to address the agenda item shall be recognized. Then the Planning Commission will discuss the matter further and take appropriate action. We ask that anybody addressing the Planning Commission move to the podium microphone, identify themselves, and state their address for the record. Please limit your comments to less than 5 minutes. And as a courtesy to everyone here tonight, we ask that you either turn off or silence your electronic devices. This meeting is being televised on Channel 16 and will be rebroadcast Saturday at 10 a.m., Tuesday at 7 p.m., Wednesday at 1 a.m. Thank you for your cooperation.
Fuzzy now. Anyway, it was.
Are we ready to start the meeting?
Yeah. He's checking your volume, so
okay.
Go ahead and do your intro.
Do we need to do I need to read the intro?
He's watching you, so.
Okay. Well, testing. Is this on? Can you all hear me?
No.
All right. Well, I'll talk loud then for now. Apologize for the technical difficulties. My name is David Loveland. I'll be representing planning staff. We are ready to begin the meeting. Meredith, if you would like to read the agenda, the consent agenda for us, please.
All right. First item tonight is the reading and approval of the consent agenda. The first item on the consent agenda is the approval of the September 1st, 2010 minutes of the regular meeting. Item 2 are plats. Item 3, number 2010-0904, a conditional use permit in the C3 Central Business District to allow a daycare center at the southwest corner of 11th Street and 2nd Avenue. Item 4, number 2010-0905 is a conditional use permit in the RS2 Residential District to allow a daycare center at 120 North Sycamore. Item 5, number 2010-0909 is a conditional use permit in the RD Residential District to allow an off-premise parking lot at East 1st Street and North Sherman Avenue. And item 6, number 2010-09-10 is a conditional use permit in the I-2 General Industrial District to allow a motor vehicle repair shop at 202 South Petro Avenue. Are there any members of the Planning Commission that would like to have any consent items moved to the regular agenda? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to have any of the consent items moved to the regular agenda? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, same sign. The consent agenda is approved, and if you were here tonight for any item on the consent agenda, you're free to leave. Thank you. The next item of business would be the approval of the regular agenda. And David, did you have something to add regarding the regular agenda?
Yeah, staff would request the deferral of item number 13 to the November 1st Planning Commission.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion to approve the regular agenda
I'll make a motion to approve the regular agenda.
without item 13.
Correct, without item 13.
I'll second it.
Is there a second to the motion?
Over here.
We've got a motion and a second. I'm sorry. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, same sign. Okay, the first item on the regular agenda is item number 7, staff report.
Good evening again, Mr. Chair and members of the Commission. My name is David Loveland, and I'll be representing planning staff. Just a note that the microphones are working on the audio feed to the outside over channel 16, so I can't speak into the microphones as normal. It's just in here we're having the technical difficulties for some reason. So they are working on it, but to proceed, item number 7 is a final development plan in sub-area G of the Beetle Greenway Plan Development District to construct a lumber storage building and office complex. The applicant is proposing to construct a new office and warehouse to replace an existing warehouse. The area in question is about 4.26 acres in size. As far as abutting zoning and land uses, to the north is sub-area H of the Beetle Greenway, which represents medium-density residential and a compatibility rating of 3. To the south is the I-1 Light Industrial District with a compatibility rating of 5. To the east is sub-area I and sub-area G of the Beetle Greenway. The I represents medium-density residential with a compatibility rating of 3, and sub-area G represents a lumber warehousing store with the Beetle Greenway also representing medium-density residential development. The Beetle Greenway Plan Development District was created by the City Council in December of 1981 to allow redevelopment of a mix of uses to include residential, office, commercial, and industrial. In April of 1997, a major amendment was approved that allowed the addition of lumber warehousing, paint shops, and office. A final development plan was approved in August of 2002 to allow construction of a lumber warehouse and office addition similar to the one before you. That plan was never constructed. In addition to that approval at the time, a minor amendment was approved reducing the front yard setback to 0 feet along 5th Avenue. And in July of 2004, a minor amendment was approved to reduce the parking requirement to 28 stalls. Within your staff report is contained the sub-area regulations which will govern this project. To note, the applicant is proposing to reduce the required front yard setback along South 5th Avenue, again from 20 feet to 0 feet for the parking lot and 5 feet for the building. This is in conformance with the previously approved applications at the subject property. When calculating the parking requirement for the lumber yard, the total square footage of the building were used at a ratio of 1 stall per 1,500 square feet. This includes previously developed structures to the south of the subject application. 48 parking stalls are required at that ratio, with the applicant able to provide 41 on site. Therefore, the applicant is requesting approval of a minor amendment to reduce the parking requirement. The portion of the parking lot that is directly west of the residential uses across South 5th Avenue, which is indicated in your plans, requires screening at a minimum of 4 feet in height. Updated landscaping plans are required to be submitted as part of the plan review. As far as the building location and design, The proposed structure lies just south of East 14th Street between South 5th Avenue and the railroad right-of-way. The building will be 25 feet and 10 inches in height with pre-finished metal siding comprising the exterior of the structure. The wall design along the warehouse portion is monolithic in design. However, the majority of that structure lies internal to the lumberyard. The portion of the proposed building that is adjacent to residential is designated as a future office addition, and plans were submitted to our office in the last couple of days that were included in your addendums that you received yesterday that highlight the architectural features, which include brick veneer, stone veneer, and log trusses. The area of the city is unique as it represents a mix of industrial and residential uses along and south of East 14th Street. Typically, separation of industrial and residential land uses is desirable, but in this case, the application reflects an improvement to existing site conditions. A new structure, improved parking facilities, and new landscaping will be installed to help soften the effects of those conditions. As I noted earlier, site plans submitted are showing Phase 2 construction of an attached office space and associated parking lot. We did indicate in your staff report that those were Phase 2, and because we didn't have renderings at the time to be able to evaluate those projects, we did put a condition on the staff report that, or on our recommendation for approval, the development of Phase 2 will require Planning Commission approval of a final development plan. If you, as a commission, are comfortable with the renderings that were submitted, you can elect to remove that condition, and they'd be able to construct the building at a future time, as they've noted in their plans. We are recommending that because the subject application conforms to previous approvals for similar site design and conforms to the comprehensive plan and the development district, we are recommending approval of the final development plan and the minor amendments. And that concludes. We've received no phone calls on it. I believe the applicants have contacted some of their neighbors, and they'd be able to speak on any conversations that they had. Otherwise, that concludes staff report.
Thank you, David. Any questions for David?
Mr. Chair, David, quick question. In the zoning purpose and history, you talked that in July 2004, a minor amendment was approved to reduce parking requirements to 28 stalls. And now it's 48 are required, but they have 41.
They've added
numbers.
They've added a warehouse since then in the I-1 portion.
Okay.
That's to the south of this specific part here. So we're calculating the parking at the 48 stalls as the site in its entirety. When you see down on here, if you want to have these buildings. So we're seeing those buildings, and that's where we're coming up with the site requirement, more of a campus-type parking rather than on the individual. So,
Okay, I can understand that. Where's the 28? Is that just
that was the same type of scenario, but
prior to development?
yeah, but this office right here, that one was constructed after that, and so that's added to their parking requirements since then.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for David?
Mr. Chair, Dave, for clarification then, if we would like to go ahead and approve the office along with this, we can, but the associated parking lot, we still need to...
They would not need a separate final development plan for that.
Okay. So we can remove all the stipulations
If you're comfortable
and
with that.
include the office if we
Yep.
are comfortable. Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else for David? Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Is the petitioner present this evening?
Good evening, I'm Jim Bruns, Bruns Construction. I'm here to answer questions.
Any question for Jim?
Jim, they made mention that you had a neighborhood meeting.
Pardon?
Did you have a neighborhood meeting?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Was that well attended? Did you get very many people?
Just one person, and that was Irish, Jim Irish. He's got the land that's right next to one of the warehouses there. He was concerned about where we were parking the semi-trucks out in the street. And the owner, Steve Springer, had a meeting with his people and assured them that they will be, parking and giving them and have different parking regulations and loading regulations for his drivers, and that seemed to satisfy him.
Thank you, Jim.
Anything else for Jim?
Jim, I'm assuming you'd like us to go ahead and approve the warehouse portion along with the office portion?
Yes, we would. Otherwise, we've got to come back down here.
Any other questions for Jim? I guess not.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience tonight that would like to address this item? Seeing none, commission action?
I'll make a motion to approve item number 7, the final development plan and a minor amendment with no conditions.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Item number 8. Is that you again, David?
That is me again. All right. Item number 8 is a final development plan and minor amendment in subarea A of the Minnehaha County Courthouse Plan Development District to construct a human services facility to reduce required front yard setbacks from 25 feet to 10 feet along North Minnesota Avenue, and from, that should say 25 feet to 8 feet along West 3rd Street, and to reduce the parking requirement from 7 stalls to 0 stalls. The applicant is Wade Beam of C.R. Lloyd and Associates, and the owner is Minnehaha County, I believe represented as the commission chair, Ann Hayek. I think that there's some others that may be here tonight to speak on it. The area of the site is just over a half acre in size, and it's located at West 3rd Street and South Minnesota Avenue. The abutting zoning and land uses at this site include: to the north is RA2 residential, multifamily residential. To the south is the Minnehaha County Plan Development District with the Law Enforcement Center. To the east is RA2 residential with also multifamily residential. And then to the west is RA2 residential with an assisted living and a nursing home. And the compatibility rating on all of those adjacent uses have been assigned a 4. In the past, the Planning Commission and City Council approved a request from Minnehaha County to rezone the subject parcels into the Minnehaha County Courthouse Plan Development District in the spring of 2010. The purpose of the application at that time was to prepare the zoning regulations for the eventual construction of Project Safe Home, which is before you right now. Those regulations have been attached to your staff report for your reference. Again, the location of the site is at the northeast corner of East 3rd Street and South Minnesota Avenue. As noted in the description, setbacks are required at 25 feet along Minnesota Avenue, and it should be 25 feet along 3rd Street. The applicant is requesting a reduction in required setbacks to 10 feet and 8 feet respectively. The applicant is also requesting a reduction in the required on-site parking from 8 stalls to 0, and will provide the required parking as on-street angled parking pending City Council approval. Now, the reason that that request is to 0 is because that on-street parking is technically not on their own property, on their property, but it's on the adjacent right-of-way, and so that's where that parking reduction comes from. The building will largely be centered on the subject property and will be 3 stories, approximately 38 feet 6 inches in height. Materials used for the project include a brown brick veneer for the lower half of the structure and tan ephes on the upper half. A glass curtain centered in the west half of the south elevation will provide a focal point for the main entrance of the structure. Aluminum windows will be used throughout, complemented by metal columns to support the metal canopy on the first floor. The trash enclosure should be constructed of similar materials and colors to that of the main building. And as far as the land use and comprehensive plan analysis, Project Safe Home will have 33 units to serve the chronically homeless. The Downtown Design Review Committee is supportive of the project. The site is located in the Minnehaha County Courthouse Plan Development District and is attempting to integrate with the county campus. The applicants, as I noted, intend to provide the required parking as angled on-street parking, and because that's not located within the boundaries of the property itself, a minor amendment is needed to reduce the parking. The on-street parking will serve this project, and staff is supportive of the request with the condition that ties City Council approval of the on-street parking to this final development plan. And these minor amendments can be approved in conjunction with the final development plan. And because the subject application conforms to the Sioux Falls 2035 comprehensive plan, and the Downtown Design Review Committee is supportive of the project, we are recommending approval of the final development plan and the minor amendments with 4 conditions. The first is that vacation of the alley will be required, which is a correction on your staff report. That should be alley instead of easement. Number 2, City Council approval of on-street angled parking is required to replace the parking requirement reduced by this action. Number 3, wrought iron fencing similar in nature to that used at the county administration building parking lot will be provided along the west property line adjacent to Minnesota Avenue. And number 4, the trash enclosure shall be constructed of similar materials and colors to that of the main building. We have received no phone calls on this item. The applicants held a neighborhood meeting yesterday and can speak on the attendance to that. Otherwise, that concludes staff report.
Thank you, David. Any questions for David?
Mr. Chair. David, question, with respect to the vacation of the alley, currently that alley only serves the property that this would be on, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Yep.
Another question is, there's the on-street parking, which would provide the spaces required.
Yep.
I'm assuming that those spaces are still public parking,
They are still public parking.
but are right off the street and would be designated, not designated, but would be used by the people.
They would be, yep.
Working there.
That's the intent.
Secondly, there's a driveway on the east side of the building. What is that?
That's a turnaround hammerhead for turnaround for
Is that a
garbage
fish?
trucks or. Sorry. Yeah, big shark.
What can I ask? What a turn? Okay. Is there a loading dock in there or something? Or
Just straight back there. I mean, that's where their loading space will be. So that's part of the turnaround.
Is that the trash enclosure as well?
Yep.
okay.
Glad the garbage man has to do that and not me.
Okay.
Any other questions
Thank
for
you.
David?
Yeah, I just have one. Am I missing something here? Do we have a rendering showing the fence?
I do not. No, I do not have a rendering with the fence. So
Okay.
that's
I'm assuming then staff will approve that once you,
at the time of building permit. Yeah, that it would be similar in nature to what was used at the administration building's parking lot
okay.
project. Yep.
I just didn't know if I was missing something
Oh
here.
nope, I didn't have anything.
And that fence goes on top of the retaining wall on the west edge?
Yep. Yeah, because with the way that they have to cut the elevation, the sidewalk to the east will be above where the cut will be, so they need fence to guard pedestrian traffic there.
Okay.
So,
Any other questions for David? Thank you, David.
okay, thank you.
Steve's doing a great job of cutting that section. Is the petitioner here this evening?
Good evening. I am Wade Beam with the Lloyd Companies, 3130 West 57th Street, and here to answer questions tonight on this on Project Safe Home. I would like to call attention to Minnehaha County Commissioner Carol Tweet and Director of Human Services Carol Muller are in the audience tonight and would also be available to answer questions if need be. But I'll take any questions first.
Okay. Any questions for Wade regarding Project Safe Home?
Wade, you had a neighborhood meeting. How did that go?
Nobody showed.
Okay.
Yep, 0 attendance. So.
Any other questions for Wade?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Beam, how many employees do you expect to employ at this location?
I believe that there is only 6 or 7 employees. There's only going to be 3. There's 3 offices in the building, but that I think the staffing is being determined.
Okay. So during a typical day, there would be 6 or 7 people working there, or
Correct. There would not be any more employees than the number of stalls we have out front,
okay,
and that's we've kind of maxed out the number of stalls that we're requesting to be the 45-degree stalls based on the maximum number of staff needed to run the facility, but are anticipating less.
okay. And I'm assuming that you're aware that if there's a parade and those stalls are full, that your employees park somewhere else and walk in?
Very aware of that, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Wade? Thank you. Is there anyone else this evening that would like to address this item? I guess not. Is there commission action on item number 8?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve item number 8 with the given conditions.
The 4 conditions?
The 4
stipulations? Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I look at this project and I look at the area of town it's going in, and what a nice-looking building. I think that'll really be a compliment to that corner of our fine city. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, item 8 is approved. Item 9. David?
All right, item number 9 is a design review in the Downtown Design Review District and River Greenway, Design Review District to allow construction of a proposed office building and parking ramp. The applicant is requesting design review approval in order to begin construction on a 133,000 square foot office building with an associated parking structure. The applicant is Wade Beam of Lloyd Companies. The owner of the property is Al Schoeneman of Schoeneman Brothers. The general location of the site is at 304 East 8th Street and encompasses an area of 2.7 acres in size. To the north is the C3 Central Business District, which with vacant land uses. To the south is the RC Recreation Conservation District with the River Greenway system. To the east is a Railroad Center Plan Development District with multi-tenant business complex. And to the west is the C3 Central Business District with downtown office buildings. The compatibility rating for all of the above uses was rated at a 5. In July of 2010, the Planning Commission voted to recommend approval of rezoning the subject property from the RC Recreation Conservation District to the C3 Central Business District. The City Council voted to approve the rezoning in August of 2010. The Planning Commission then considered a request for Tax Increment Finance District Number 10 in September of 2010. The Commission voted to approve the project plan and boundary at that meeting. On September 20th, the City Council approved the establishment of the TIF 10 boundary and considered and approved the project plan during its regularly scheduled meeting 2 days ago on Monday, October 4th. In your staff report, you'll note that the location is again at 305 East 8th Street. The accessibility of the site is served by several transit routes, and vehicular traffic will access the site from East 8th Street and South Reed Street. No schools are located within 600 feet of the site. The River Greenway system runs along the Big Sioux River to the west edge of the subject property with access to bike trails and pedestrian pathways. In your staff report, I've included the design review regulations for both the Downtown Design Review District and the River Greenway. I'm not going to read them verbatim, but I will highlight some important points here. Under the standards for the Downtown Design Review District, number 1, building orientation and staff and setback. I'll just read staff comments on each one of these standards. This is the first structure on the site, and its context will help determine the future building orientations along the River Greenway. Number 2, building height. The building is not expected to exceed 4 stories in height. The existing buildings in proximity to the subject property include the River Center, 6 stories, which is across the river from the subject property, the 8th and Railroad Center at 3 stories, and the DeWitt Building at 2 stories. Both of the latter buildings lie to the east of the subject property. Number 3, building width. The proposed structure will have 133,000 square feet of occupied floor space, thus necessitating the design review application before the Planning Commission. The applicant has taken care to consider the provisions of design guidelines because of their adjacency to the River Greenway system. The building, as noted, is 4 stories in height and makes use of windows and brick columns to emphasize the central inset in the building facade. The balconies face the Big Sioux River on the 3rd and 4th floor and will provide additional enhancement. Under number 4, building color and texture. The colors proposed for the building are typical of downtown buildings, incorporating dark brown, metallic, white, and gray, and pink, reflecting the use of quartzite panels on the first floor. Under number 5, the proposed office and parking complex, which is materials, the proposed office and parking complex will consist of colors and material that are representative of both downtown and the history of the Sioux Falls region. Pink quartzite panels are indicated on the first floor exterior to tie the building into the surrounding properties in the downtown area and the river system. The second through fourth floors will use a combination of brick, metal, and glass. The brick will be formulating material used to frame the columns and window panels. Metal accents will run horizontally above main entrances, exterior separations between floors, and as cornices and roof overhangs. Number 6, a proportion of openings. Openings onto the ground floor parking level should attempt to emulate a series of storefront facades and display windows. The first floor of the proposed structure is a parking level. The provision is discussed in further detail under item number 12. Number 7, the historic building remodeling. There isn't specifically a historic building on this site, but we did make note of an existing stone retaining wall on the subject property that should be preserved. The wall is located adjacent to the greenway and extends from the 12th Street Bridge abutment to the north. Engineering studies have not been performed to determine what, if any, dependency the abutment has on the wall structure or vice versa. Any removal, reconstruction, or alteration of the wall should first require approval of the planning director and city engineer. Under number 8, horizontal alignment. As noted above, metal accent panels will be used as an exterior enhancement denoting the separate floor levels. The roof line of the building will be highlighted by a metal cornice roof overhang to help to keep the recurring theme of horizontal enhancement pattern. No, and I just said that. Number 10, sidewalk coverings. The subject property has limited sidewalk right-of-way, but does provide a metal awning conforming to the same design as the cornice and roof overhangs. And number 11, signage. The subject building renderings indicate large vertical letters spelling out CNA with a horizontal surety in smaller white lettering below. The type of signage was not indicated as backlit, exterior illuminated, or internally illuminated, nor were the exact measurements of the signage provided. A master sign plan should be submitted, requiring approval of the planning director. Under number 12, parking and access. A parking ramp will be built on the south portion of the structure, and portions of the ramp will compose the first floor of the main building. In addition, a surface lot will be constructed in the area to the north of the main building and be designated to eventually allow for mutual access and use by a potential hotel user. The ramp itself is designed using a pink quartzite veneer on the lowest several feet and as a portion of the supporting columns. I think, yep, the microphones just came on. I need to grab something else anyway. So back to, because the ramp fronts along the River Greenway, enhanced architecture and design elements should be incorporated into the project in order to conceal the nature of the ramp itself. Two curb cuts exist onto Reed Street along the east portion of the subject property. These curb cuts will lead to the main entrance of the building, as well as provide access to the parking ramp. Under other considerations, which is item 13, the applicants have designed the building to overlook portions of the Big Sioux River Greenway system and have shown elements of proposed improvements to the Greenway in the submitted renderings. A specific landscape plan was not provided, and the applicant should screen surface parking lots from areas of pedestrian activity through the use of innovative landscape design techniques. The Planning Office requests that the final landscape plan be submitted to the Planning Director or designee for approval prior to the issuance of a building permit. Final location of trash enclosures and utility equipment has not been shown on the submitted plans, and screening of surface parking lots and of utility boxes or structures should also be incorporated into those final site and landscaping plans. As far as the River Greenway, most of the provisions of the River Greenway system design review district are covered also by the downtown design review district, so I won't repeat all of those. Under land use and comprehensive plan analysis, the Sioux Falls 2035 comprehensive plan designates this area as a regional employment center, which should include commercial, office, residential, and institutional uses. The subject property lies within the downtown boundary, and the proposal reflects the intent of both the 2015 downtown plan and the 2035 comprehensive plan. The Downtown Design Review Committee approved the building design and architectural features of the subject proposal. Because the subject application generally meets the intent and purpose of the Downtown Design Review District, the River Greenway Design Review District, and meets the intent of both the 2015 Downtown Plan and the 2035 Comprehensive Plan, staff is recommending approval of the Downtown Design Review application with the following conditions. Number 1, any removal, alteration, or reconstruction of the existing stone retaining wall should first require approval of the planning director and city engineer. Number 2, final landscaping plans shall be submitted to the planning director or designee for approval prior to the issuance of a building permit. Number 3, master sign plan shall be submitted for approval of the Downtown Design Review Committee and the planning director designee. Number 4, final lighting master plan showing a photometric plan and plans for the style, type, and height of all proposed outdoor lighting elements should be submitted for approval by the planning director or designee. Number 5, sidewalks should be constructed along Reed Street. Number 6, preservation of the proposed bike trail route along the east property line, as noted in the Greenway Master Plan, shall be incorporated into the site design and provided as an easement. Number 7, a corridor for the connection of this bike path from the pedestrian bridge to the proposed corridor on the east property line shall be incorporated into the site plan. Number 8, I'd like to submit a revised condition from what you've seen in your staff report, and that is the structure of the parking ramp shall incorporate strategies and elements that will break up the uniform appearance of a parking structure. Storefront design that incorporates building materials and elements from the upper floors to blend with the first floor columns shall be utilized. In addition, building material on the first floor facing the greenway should be composed of quartzite or quartzite veneer and brick to complement the sequence and design of the upper floors. And number 9, ash or ash varieties should not be used to meet minimum landscaping requirements, and a schedule denoting size and species of proposed plants and trees should be submitted with the final landscaping plans. And number 10, trash enclosures and utility equipment shall be located to not interfere with the function or view sheds of the pedestrian pathways along the River Greenway. Any enclosure or utility boxes and equipment located adjacent to the greenway shall be screened using landscaping techniques and incorporated into the final landscaping plans. That concludes staff report. I believe the applicants are well represented here tonight, and they have alternate renderings, some more final that they'll go through, along with some materials boards that they'd like to submit. But that is it for me, unless you have any questions.
Thank you, David. Are there questions for David before we talk with the petitioner? I guess not. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Is the petitioner here tonight?
Good evening. Craig Lloyd with Lloyd Companies, 3130 West 57th Street, Suite 112. Dave did a great job in trying to explain what we're trying to do here. And we've met with staff, went over the report from the design committee, engineering, everybody else that is involved with the project, which has been extensive. Larry Crane's here, the architect, can probably answer more of the design criteria than me, and he's got better taste. So I'll take any questions that you may have of the general overall complex.
Okay. Any questions for Craig while he's up there? Mike?
Mr. Chair. Mr. Lloyd.
Yes.
Question with respect to the what I'll say the egresses along the River Greenway. In one of the first floor plans, I see the entrance to the building, which is from the north easterly direction, and it looks like that's where the lobby is and the elevators and whatnot. But along the backside, which is the side facing the River Greenway, I think that you've done a great job with the architectural features. But it looks as if there's really there's no ingress egress, maybe one door from the building out into the River Greenway. It's kind of like the building is facing this way with its hind end toward the River Greenway.
The architect doesn't know how to draw doors is our problem. No.
Wonder if that was taken into consideration with the River Greenway.
Yeah, we are going to have an entrance off of the exercise room that's going to face the greenway, and there will be also a door for the general public to come down and go out the elevators and go out the back, also right next to the exercise room.
Would you be okay if we stipulated that?
You bet. Because there's a patio back there.
Right.
We want to bring the clients out to the greenway, enjoying the greenway, I mean, that's what we are, been dreaming about for 40-some years, so that's great.
And I'll tell you, it looks from the rendering now is that it's the only access is really to the garage. You have to walk out into the garage and over.
That's true, and it's just because of the design of the building and the requirements of the tenant to have over 500 parking stalls on the site. It just doesn't make 500 parking stalls possible without doing it the way we did it, and to have smooth access from one side of the building to the other. We don't know how to address any more than that than go through that garage.
So with the new hallway and door by the exercise room, will that eliminate the need to having to go out into the garage to go out to that?
You're still going to have to go through that walkway to get out to the...
Thank you.
Any other questions for Craig?
Thanks.
Guess not. Thank you, Craig. Do we have an architect in the house? We have many.
Well, good evening. My name is Larry Crane with Perspective at 196 East 6th Street here in Sioux Falls, and I am one of the architects working on this project. With me is Ryan Kranz. He's going to step through some updated images for you. Just arrow through a couple of these, Ryan. Get to the Greenway side since that was a question. This back up one. Go back one more. The front entrance. Front entrance is actually at the Greenway elevation, and that was what you're describing, Mr. Roth, from one into the next. There's some benefits to that I'd like to point out, that the Greenway is a very nice opportunity to be on that from a north to south orientation. To get from an east to west orientation to be usable on this particular site is difficult. And so what we're trying to do is make it an inviting opportunity to go into the lobby, to go through in a covered condition, or park to the entrance to the left of the entrance, get in there, park, and go right on out through that, onto that same level as a patio space. As an after hours or other condition, I think that's a possibility. Then it's not just CNAs, but maybe 9 or 8 to 5 during the day. That area then really is theirs, and is a great use in getting energy to that Greenway that probably isn't as used as it is or could be. I think the introduction of this tenant with 450 plus people, having that as the upper tier of the Greenway development master plan would be, I think would be a nice opportunity. The master plan itself is still in flex, and we're hoping to get that on board with the city to help enhance that opportunity to make it usable. For us, we are trying to get as many doors, future doors, drawn so we can have greater access through the building and around. Other ideas have been introduced for using the parking structure that's enclosed to maybe entertain more parking and walking as a point in getting down to the pathways. I think that's all a possibility. So it would be more of a park and ride, park and walk site from any other ones around, not just Falls Park, maybe here as well. On the materials use, I've got some samples up here. The pink at the bottom of the building is really where we're focusing the quartzite, and the pink that we're using is two types. This is a pitch space, which I would like to show right here. It's a thin material that's clad on top of a precast panel, trying to get too technical with everybody, but it will make the impression that it is a full depth, full historic depth of 12 plus inches when it's done. The other material that I have, our function is still a quartz, but it's a flamed finish, and it helps establish the column bases and more of a plinth on some of the elements. So we have a texture change and a really grounding of the building, and that's a big focus for what we're trying to do. The other predominant material to be used is a brick, and is also going to be a brick that is complementary to our pink quartzite or our purple, depending on your point of view. And it has other examples of it in the downtown area, predominantly in parts of the 8th and Railroad building, and that's one of the ones that we're really inspiring the elements of the building, as well as the renovated DeWitt building, which are our immediate neighbors. So hopefully we can get some banding and get some of the materials used to help get the language horizontally and vertically with their fenestrations. The other material other two materials are glass and metal, which try to give it more of a modern appearance, a little bit of a flair. The building itself doesn't want to be grounded in the tradition forever and ever because that's already there. We want to make it as a building experience of today that will last 50 to 100 years like the other ones around. So as we develop this further, and Ryan, if you want to flip through a couple of other pictures, the quartzite wall that was talked about by the staff report on the lower level is where Ryan's cursor is right now. We're hoping that with the master plan continuation of the greenway that we do bring that across. And as you see the revised images of the parking structure, again, right above that, we have a chance to, with the grade that comes up, make it look not so much like a parking structure on that south end. As we go towards the north, we'll do the same thing on this one. We do not believe that we're done by any stretch. We want to continue to work with the staff to help fine-tune this because we really want to make that structure look like a part of the building, not just a building floating on top of a parking garage. And we're going through a lot of studies to do that. But with the help of the staff, I think that we're going to get there. And Mr. Lloyd's commitment to make a building that's worthwhile and be a big contributing element to downtown. So, again, more aerials, more updates. The development to the north is a maybe, and hopefully that can get off center as well. But someday we believe no matter what there will be something there, so we're trying to be a good neighbor and set the tone for it. As the building parking goes, maybe go back or go forward one more, Ryan. This picture right here tries to explain that we have really 3 levels of parking on our site. We have a great underground level that you really don't see. The main entrance level is really level 2, and then the left one is actually at level 3 for parking, level 2 of the actually occupied building. All of these parking structures are accessible. So you go down to get to the underground one, you go straight in to get the one by the front door, and if you go around to Reed, that's how you enter onto the south end of that upper level. They're all flat plate parking structures. It's amazing how much contour we do have on the site to allow this to happen. And we also got lucky that our quartzite isn't so close to the surface we're able to get that lower level in without a lot of blasting and extra work. So we're trying to take advantage of all this and maintain the building areas that are occupied above the floodplain. We're working with Mr. Schmidt and his staff as we go through the flood gates and the flood openings to get the water to go through and out to on the riverside, and that's a further coordination item on the River Greenway development. Like I said, we're not done, but I think if you allow us to proceed and continue working with the staff to get through the 9 points that they have asked for, I think we're going to have an extremely attractive addition to the downtown. Any questions?
Larry, I have a quick question. You talked about access to the parking. On your second floor plan, I see a ramp on the east side, but it doesn't show up in your rendering.
The ramp?
Where's the ramp to get to that upper level parking?
There is no internal ramp. You go around to Reed to the south and up onto that upper level.
Right here.
Does that make sense, Meredith?
No, I see a little ramp on your floor plan.
Which floor plan?
Parking level 2.
Okay, that's the ground level. That's a ramp down to that level.
Is that what I see there? Is
Yes.
that ramp? So that's getting to the same level as the parking that's under the the north end of the office?
Correct. You can either go straight into that, and I'm calling that the first level,
down.
and then, or you take a hard left and go down, that'll get you to the lower level.
Okay.
There will be, the underground will have a secondary exit further to the north at the end of that development
I
as
saw
well.
that, yeah. Okay, so it's, the plan that I see is going down, not up.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions for Larry?
Can I see the one that shows the River Greenway area?
Back another one. That
Yep,
one.
right here. So just to build upon Commissioner Ross' comments, so you are saying it's the intent in this cantilevered area to have some exit out onto the Greenway
Absolutely.
area?
There's actually going to be one directly off of, right where Ryan just highlighted, and also to the right, through the parking garage and out. There will be a similar exit at the north end to go directly from out of the building into that patio space.
But there's no, so the elevator will bring you down only to the east side. You have to walk across through the garage, exit to the west.
Yes. There's still ideas being formulated that you could go to the second level, which is the upper level parking to the south,
Yeah.
get out there, and you can, and depending on how we finalize the balconies, we could have access from the parking structure to that balcony, second floor balcony, or we create another stair tower on the outside so you go down right there as well. So then you'll have either direct tenant access or you have secondary access.
And again, you'd be okay if we stipulated to 2 additional access areas on the south and
Yes.
then on the west?
Yes, that is our goal. We're struggling with the program components to get the number of parking to work.
Any other questions for Larry? Larry, the quartzite and the brick are incorporated into precast?
Correct.
There are some good examples of that. In fact, the Heart Hospital precast has begun to go up, and that's a brick that's incorporated in the precast as well.
Yep, one of our local distributors here in town is one of the best in the country of that technique.
Are you planning any treatment of the openings on the lower level parking, or I shouldn't say the lower level, but that second level parking?
Yes, we're trying to work through better detailing to make those look like windows, openings to match the fenestrations and continue that look down.
So you haven't figured out how you'll achieve that?
No, there's a durability and abuse condition that we want to make sure that we address before we just say they're aluminum window frames. There's probably a steel solution somewhere in that makes them look like the ones above in some form.
And a certain percentage of that wall has to be open for ventilation.
Correct. Even we don't want to have 2 enclosed parking structures, then we have some other issues with construction systems. So one will be open and one will be enclosed. The one on the ground is the enclosed one, so we're okay.
So the lower level is ventilated?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions for Larry?
Just one other comment. I do appreciate the mix of the modern and the historic, and I think once it's done, it'll be a terrific addition to the East Bank, and something we've been waiting for quite some time. So thank you for your thought and
Thank
putting
you.
it all together.
Wait till you see the inside. It's going to
That's
be
good.
better.
Great. Well, they're a great neighbor downtown, and we're glad to keep them there.
Anything else for Larry? I think Ryan should have probably put some ducks, geese, or something in that, something floating by in a hurry. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience tonight that would like to address item number 9? David, I have a quick question for you. I'm not clear, and maybe some of the other commissioners aren't clear either on whether or not tonight's discussion, or how tonight's discussion relates to the final design of that River Greenway component. Is that included in this?
No, the final
It's not.
final design of the Greenway component will be a city project with the involvement of CNA, but that is not part of this design review.
Okay, so while we're interested, it's not part of this item tonight?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address this item? Seeing none, commission action.
Mr. Chair,
Mike.
I move that we approve this item with the
10, I think.
10 stipulations as stated.
That could be a record, too. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll make a second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of item number 9 signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Jeff Schmidt representing planning staff on these last 3 items. The last one is deferred. On 10, 11, and 12, it's just a housekeeping measure where we're changing the title of the staff member that is administering these ordinances. So there's 4 sections of the code that this title is represented in, and again, that 4th one's being deferred so we can have some more time to look at it. The other 3, the title's going to be changed.
Jeff, do you want to deal with each item individually or collectively?
How does it help, Ms. Sinclair? Individually, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to do 10
10,
first.
11, and 12. Separately.
Is there any question for Jeff? Okay. I'd entertain a motion to approve item number 10.
I move to approve item number 10.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of item number 10 signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, same sign. Item 10 is approved. Item 11, again, I would entertain a motion for the approval of item number 11.
I'll move for approval.
We have a motion. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of item number 11 signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, same sign. And item number 12, is there a motion to approve item number 12?
I recommend approval of item number 12.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of motion or item number 12 signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, same sign. Jeff, I think you're taking care of the last item tonight. Since item 13 was deferred, would be adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn, Mr. Commissioner.
Is there a
Mr.
second?
Chair.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We are adjourned.